So welcome to this video. Here you will learn about digraphs and incidence matrix for digraphs and how to practice a few problems on these. So let's start with a simple problem. Draw the graph represented by the following adjacency matrix. So you can see that V1 is incident to V1, so we draw a loop. V1 is incident to V2, so we draw a line, edge connecting V1 and V2. V1 is incident to V3, and that's it. V2 is incident to V1, it is already there. V2 is incident to V2, so we draw a loop, and V2 is incident to V3. V3 is incident to V1 and V2, which is already there, and V4, so we connect it. V4 is incident to V3, V4 and V5. V3, V4 we draw a loop, and V5 is incident to just V4. So this is the graph represented by this adjacency matrix. Now a digraph or a directed graph is a graph in which the edges have a direction. So let G equal to VE, where V is V1, V2, Vn and E has edges E1, E2, En. The incidence matrix A of G is an n by m matrix defined by Aij equal to 1 if the jth edge Ej is incident out of the ith vertex Vi. So it is 1 if the edge is going out of the vertex, equal to minus 1 if the jth edge Ej is incident into the ith vertex Vi. So if it is going into Vi, it is minus 1, and 0 if Ej is not incident on Vi. So based on this, we will do a few simple problems. Find the incidence matrix of this digraph. So we are given the digraph. Now if you look at V1, E1, E5 go out of V1, so you'll put a 1 under E1 and E5. E6 goes into V1, so next to E6 you put a minus 1. Now go to V2. E1 and E2 and E3 all enter V2, so you put a minus 1 for E1, E2, E3. Coming to V3, this is V3, so E4 comes out of it, and E2, E3 all come out of it. So E4, E2 and E3. First of all, we write the rows as V1, V2, V3, V4 and the columns as E1, E2 up to E7. V4, coming to V4, again in V3, E5 is entering V3, so we put minus 1. In V4, if you look at V4, V5 is entering, E7 is entering, E4 is entering. So you put a negative for E7 and E4, and E6 is going out of it. So under E6 you put 1. And coming to V5, just E7 is going out of it. So under E7 you put 1, everywhere else it is 0. So remember that if it is not incident, you just put a 0. Now we'll reverse. Draw a digraph whose incidence matrix A is given. Now we are given the incidence matrix and we'll draw the graph. So you can label the vertices and you can arrange it in any order. Just follow the matrix. If you look at A, E1, under E1 there is minus 1. So E1 is going E1 should be going into A. So E1 is going into A. E2 is also going into B. E4 is 1. So E4 is going out of A, and everywhere else it is 0. So no other edges are incident on A. If you look at B, E1 is going out of B. So E1 is going out of B. E3 is going out of B. And E8 is going into B. So E8 is directed towards B. If you look at C, E2 comes out of C. E2 is directed out of C. I mark C here. E3 goes into directed towards C. E5 is directed towards C. E6 is directed towards C. Everywhere else it is 0, so no more edges. If you look at D, E4 is directed towards D. So I have marked D here. E4 is directed towards D. E7 is directed towards D. We have E7 which is directed towards D. E8 is directed away from D. And E9 is also directed away from D. If you look at E, E5 is directed away from E. E6, E7 are all directed away from E. And if you look at F, E9 is directed towards F. So you can again arrange it in any order. Okay, write the incidence matrix of this graph. So now we are given the graph, we'll write the incidence matrix. So we will write 5 rows V1, V2, V5 and columns A, B, C, D, E, F. V1, if you look at V1, only A goes out of V1. So we'll write 1 and everywhere else it is 0. If you look at V2, A and C are directed towards V2. So underneath A and C you put a -1 and B is directed away from V2. Underneath B you put a 1. If you look at V3, there is E is directed away from V3, F is also directed away from V3. So you put a 1 underneath E and F. D is also directed away from V3. So put a 1 under D. And you have B is directed towards V3. So put a -1 under B. And coming to what about V4? This is V4. V4, E is directed towards V4, so put a -1. F is directed towards V4, so again you put a -1. And under V5, C is directed away from V5, so you put a 1. D is directed towards V5, so put a -1. So this is the incidence matrix of this directed graph. So we have learnt about directed graphs and digraphs or directed graphs and how to draw the incidence matrix for these, and practiced a few problems on these. Thank you.